Hello and welcome to Team PokeMart, your one-stop shop for the things that you need to stop and or shop for. And today, valued customer, I would like to let you in on a very special opportunity. You see, on my way to my eternal subjugation that I call work, I encountered a highly suspicious gentleman who told me all about how he's been making an absurd amount of extra income simply by selling Magikarp to unsuspecting morons. So naturally, seeing an opportunity to break free of my PokeMart prison, I immediately bought every Magikarp he had. It took every last cent of my savings to do so, but I am now the proud owner of fish, a lot of fish, ready to sell on to all of you unsuspecting morons. Oh, I'm so insidiously clever. So, valued customer, may I interest you in the ultimate test of trainership? Because whilst Magikarp might be kind of stupid, like pretty seriously dim even for a fish, they do go on to evolve into one of the most fantastically ferocious Pokemon out there. And if you're still not convinced, well, you've got some nerve, don't you, valued customer? But I'll play along with your twisted mind games, because if you think you're leaving this store with anything less than a full complement of fish, then you have severely misjudged the situation. Also, press the subscribe button, mostly because I said so, and that's how YouTube works, right? You just do what I say because I said it. I am an influencer. But let's start getting rid of these derpy things. So, Magikarp, it's a fish. Not my greatest of sales pitches, but I mean, look at it. It's pathetic, and it doesn't matter that it heard me call it that. It's probably going to forget it in 5 seconds anyway. Its face is simple, to reflect its simple brain, with big eyes and a gaping mouth that is constantly open as if it were perpetually shocked at the phenomenal deals here at Team PokeMart. Just beyond its mouth are two yellow fish whisker things that reach well below its bottom fin, which is yellow as well, as is another fin on top of its head, which actually looks like a little crown. And good on him. At least Magikarp can achieve something despite quite literally being referred to as pathetic in many of its Pokedex entries. In fact, rather disturbingly, Magikarp's Pokedex entries look shockingly similar to my quarterly employee evaluations. Famous for being very unreliable, it can be found swimming in seas, lakes, rivers, and shallow puddles. And that was one of my better evaluations as well. And you know, I really don't like that upper management refers to me as an it, but to be fair, I do enjoy swimming in shallow puddles. All Magikarp are able to do is splash, a move that does nothing at all. Magikarp will just bounce on the spot, splashing and splooshing about with its little fin things, thinking that it's doing something, although the word thinking is applied quite generously. And just holy crap, Magikarp sucks. I'm starting to feel a bit of buyer's remorse here. Although I suppose one huge benefit Magikarp does have is the ability to live in most bodies of water. Seas, rivers, lakes, etc. From crystal clear to quite heavily polluted. Most fish are more picky than that. However, I suppose Magikarp is a more humbled existence. Having been dubbed the weakest Pokemon, the most useless Pokemon, and virtually worthless, it may shock you to know that in the past Magikarp used to be super strong and more capable of, well, general existence. In fact, scientists everywhere are supremely baffled by the mystery of its modern incarnation having fallen far, ever so far from grace. It does have a ridiculously high fertility rate though, so say what you want about these useless fish, but they are likely getting much more action than you, valued customer, could ever dream of. But for another silver lining, should you possess the patience to quote-unquote train this Pokemon into achieving the status of level 20, then you will be rewarded quite handsomely. Rewarded with this handsome Gyarados. I mean, look at it. It's the ugly duckling story in full force. A sad little fish transforms into an absolute Chad unit. It is the ultimate glow up. Gyarados is a huge dragon snake fish fusion, and if you thought it was a dragon type due to some of its trademark moves like Dragon Pulse, Dragon Rage, and Dragon Dance, well, you're incorrect, because it is in fact a water flying type, despite the fact that it has no mechanism of flight. But its face is, well, it's terrifying, isn't it? With a blue crown that mimics angry eyebrows above its beady red eyes. You'll even notice that its once pink mouth is now less dopey and more viciously teethy. Teeth which look hungry to take revenge on all of those who bullied it as a small Magikarp. Which, I mean, I would never call Magikarp a pathetic Pokemon. I don't know where you're getting such wild allegations from, Gyarados. Let's all just calm down. Now, since Magikarp are so bad at literally everything with the exception of intercourse, there aren't many wild Gyarados due to the difficulty of reaching level 20 without engaging in cheesy trainer-driven tactics. And it's not like there's a whole ton of hidden Gyarados out there either. They're pretty humongous and known to viciously effortlessly destroy anything in its path, so you would definitely notice a wild one. Well, you'd notice it just prior to your imminent demise anyway. Now, there's something really confusing in Pokedex entries that claim Gyarados can appear and set everything ablaze unrelentingly until it is burnt down by its quote-unquote hot flames. But valued customer, this is where I put my foot down, because that's where feet belong, on the ground. Because Gyarados is not a fire type, nor is it a dragon type. It is a water, flying type, yet it defies all logic with its flaming tendencies and complete lack of flight. What even are you, Gyarados? You're capable of doing everything you shouldn't and none of the things you should. However, there's quite a bit of ancient lore surrounding this. Tales of a town that would enrage Gyarados are mentioned in the Pokedex, which resulted in Gyarados essentially rampaging and destroying the town, then proceeding to casually leave. And because of this, some very superstitious people believe that seeing wild Gyarados means that absolute carnage is coming their way. And well, this day just continues to get worse and worse, doesn't it? Now, Gyarados is already super cool, but what if I told you that it could be even cooler? Well, you're right, I would be lying, but it does have a mega evolution should you expose it to Gyarados. And oh boy, does it looks like something. Definitely something. To be perfectly frank, Mega Gyarados looks more like a supersized Magikarp, like a missing link between Magikarp and Gyarados rather than a forward evolution. And as a result, Mega Gyarados just looks a lot dumber to me than regular G-Snake. Its overall body shape is similar, I supposed, more condensed and compact, less snake, more chonk, really placing grand emphasis on the concept of girth. Which is great because remember, it's not what you do with it, it's the size that counts. And Mega Gyarados is a thick lad. Color-wise, the scheme has added in not just a grand amount of yellow, but black and red too, giving Gyarados an intriguing, vibrant revamp from its blue, yellow, and white washed-out form. With its newly mega-evolved body, Gyarados will zoom out of the water like a missile, striking down enemies at top speeds whilst water jets out from the orifices of its sides. And anyone unlucky enough to be caught in this Pokemon's path are in for a bad time, as it will cleanly cut a large ship in two. In fact, legend has it that's what sank the Titanic. A crazed Mega Gyarados. Much more believable than a wild chunk of inanimate ice, IMO. And yes, I say crazed because Gyarados' attitude has not improved. Actually, it's gotten worse. Far worse. Its brain has been affected severely by the stress that Mega Evolution puts on its body, leaving only the instinct to destroy everything within its reach, allegedly burning it all to cinders. Now, despite being filled with an intense lust of anarchy, fear not, valued customer, because it will always respond to a trainer that it trusts wholeheartedly. So like most things in life, just make sure to take good care of it so that it doesn't eat you on a whim, because valued customers are, well, they're quite possibly the most delicious of foods that this world has to offer, aren't they? Yum yum. To a Gyarados, of course, that is. Definitely not me. What a fantastic line though, from sad, pathetic beginning to total powerhouse sea god. And as such, it should not surprise you that there are plenty of appearances of this Pokemon in the series, as well as trainers who love this line. In fact, rather notoriously, Gyarados has a canon shiny lurking in Lake Rage in the Gold and Silver games, as well as their respective remakes. And the task of calming it down after Team Rocket was seen forcing the Magikarp to evolve was left up to the trainer. However, you only have one opportunity to catch it, and if you accidentally caused it to faint, well, no shiny fish for you, you inept ape. But luckily in the remakes, they dumbed down the games for you though, and allowed you to go back after defeating the champion to perform another attempt at catching it. Meanwhile, Shiny Boy was also a focal point in the anime as well, with the story going that being forced into evolution, Gyarados had no chance to change the color of its scales, so it kept its Magikarp coloring, albeit much more crimson. As for more funky fish, Team Rocket's James once owned a Magikarp who he bought from a highly suspicious traveling salesman, who claimed that James would become rich by breeding it to sell more Magikarp. What a moron. I mean, who would ever fall for such an obvious piece of deception? Oh, I've made a huge mistake. But eventually, James's Magikarp evolved into Gyarados, which honestly baffles me considering it's Team Rocket, you know? But then again, this did occur because James kicked it off the ship, only to find it abruptly evolving into Gyarados, who then proceeded to call many more Gyarados, who all used Dragon Rage on Team Rocket, and James's Gyarados then lived happily ever after. Meanwhile, Misty was a trainer lucky enough to own a Gyarados as well after a Magikarp evolved in the Cerulean Gym and began a rampage inside. Awkwardly, prior to this point, Misty had Gyarados phobia and used this situation to overcome that, as well as add an extraordinarily powerful member to her team. I mean, considering that before her main fighting force consisted of an anthropomorphic star, a confused duck, and an egg, a giant sea serpent would certainly serve Misty quite well indeed. Also in the games, there are quite a few prominent individuals who utilize this line, and by this line, I obviously mean Gyarados, not Magikarp. And firstly, we have Lance of the Kanto Elite Four, a dragon-type specialist who, due to there not being enough dragons in Generation 1, was forced to use the foe dragon Gyarados. Also immediately following following lands temporary champion Blue, as I like to call him because he basically just acts as a seat warmer for the player, but he has a Gyarados in his party provided you did not choose Charmander as a starter. And following in Lance's footsteps is his cousin Claire, who also has Gyarados, reigning as Johto's Dragon-type gym leader in the Heart Gold and Soul Silver games. She does not have a Gyarados in the original though. There, Claire sports 3 Dragonair, which is a wonderfully delightful sentence to say, although one of them gets subbed out for a Gyarados in the remix. Once again highlighting the naughty tendencies of Dragon Specialists to sully their parties with this non-dragon. And there are a plethora of other Gyarados wielders in future games, but going through them all would be like reading names from a phone book. He is just that popular of a boy. However, one additional game appearance I would like to mention, since this has been predominantly Gyarados focused, is a spin-off game that centers around just Magikarp called Magikarp Jump. In this game, you train your Magikarp to be the best jumpers around, and you even have a Pokedex to record all of the patterns of Magikarp you find. A very fun and enthralling experience, especially if you're having a rather slow retail day. Some more fun facts about the Magikarp line. Magikarp can be found in every level in Pokemon Snap, aside from Rainbow Cloud, which only has Mew. But this does tell us that Magikarp is quite the poser, and in fact he's a pretty photogenic little fishy. Fascinatingly enough, a Magikarp-centric music video was created and posted on the Pokemon Company YouTube channel. It was titled The Magikarp Song, and it's quite pleasant actually, really highlighting the strength of the Magikarp with lyrics such as, "Now it's so weak, the weakest in the land, so weak that it's sad." Gyarados holds the record for being the most used Pokemon by League champions, which would be 3 being Blue, Lance, and Wallace. The Magikarp line itself is based on a legend of how a carp that jumps over a waterfall will turn into a dragon. Sadly, Magikarp doesn't quite live up to the legend though, as Gyarados will forever be designated as an imitation dragon. And finally, a truly useless fact, in the Red and Blue beta, Gyarados had the most metal name ever, being Skullkraken. And there you have it. What do you say, valued customers? Fancy yourself a Magikarp? Yeah, you do. You love fish, and you also love incredible bargains, both of which are now present here at Team PokeMart. But please do make sure to stop by Team PokeMart just to say hi, which you can do in the comments below. And if you're interested in some of our other merchandise, then please do click these tantalizing links over here, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel for regular updates on our new stock. But for now, this has been Team PokeMart, and I'll see you next time.